Welcome to our class on Chassidus. We're going to be learning a beautiful Chassidic discourse from the Rebbe. The name of the Chassidic discourse is called Kodesh Yisrael LaHashem. The Rebbe said this Chassidic discourse on Shabbos Parshas Piנחas, that year is the 24th day of the month of Tmuz, which was also the Shabbat that blessed the month of Menachem of in the year Tafshin Memhei 39 years ago. So again, the Chassidic discourse is based on the verse that says Kodesh Yisrael LaHashem. The Jewish people are holy unto Hashem. Reishis tuasa, the beginning of its wheat, of its produce. Kol eichlav yeshamu, all those that eat it will be liable. Now this verse is the end of the Haftorah of this Shabbat, which begins actually the 3 weeks. So the Alter Melchut Torah asks, what is this idea that the wheat or the fruit, the produce that's growing, and that we're comparing the Jewish people to that? What are we referring to? That's question number one. Also, he says we have to understand, because it says tuasa means there's a hey at the end, and the fact is you read it with a chaylam, as if there's a vav over there. So the question is, why is there's written with a hey, but you read it with a vav? Because the way it's read is tuasoi. Also, we have to understand when it says kol eichlav yeshamu, all those that consume or hurt the Jewish people will be liable. So what is the connection that because they're holy and that's why they're going to be liable? What's the connection between the two? Rebbe says we're going to understand this with an introduction about the whole idea of why the soul came down into this world. And we know why did the soul come down into this world? It was in heaven. It came down, the concept is that you read the Tzorech Aliyah. Yes, it's 100% a downgrade. In heaven it was with God. It comes down to this world in a finite body, dealing with the materialistic world and all the challenges of the world. But the reason is, there should be a Yerida, yes, it's a downgrade, but Tzorech Aliyah, it's going to go up even higher. In other words, when the soul comes down into this world, it's a tremendous downgrade. It went from this high, huge place down to the lowest place. And high and low, you mean where God is revealed and God is concealed. In other words, when the soul was on high before it came down to this world, it was on the highest level. And like it says clearly, every single soul that was standing literally in front of Hashem's throne, in front of Hashem. And even when it served Hashem on high with love and awe, it was complete love. It was complete awe. And like it says clearly in the prophets, Chai Hashem, Elokei Yisrael, Asher Amanti L'fanav. That it was on the highest level that it stood in front of Hashem, and the ultimate completion of love for Hashem and awe for Hashem. So that's on one hand, it was on the highest level. But the soul unfortunately came down to this world, which is the lowest possible place where God is totally concealed. So why did it do that? And the answer is, it did that. It came down to have a major upgrade. Why? Because when the soul comes down into this world, what gets revealed is that even in this world, yes, even in this world where it's dark and there's challenges and there's issues, it could be totally complete with connecting to Hashem, loving Hashem, and awe of Hashem. Because when it's on high, okay, very nice, it's at a very high level. But when it comes down here, it might fail. So the reason why it comes down here is to show us that the soul has the power to come down in this world and still not fail and be successful. That's why it says, so based on this introduction, it explains, that's why it says, Kodesh Yisrael Hashem, that the Jewish people are holy unto Hashem, Reishis Tuasa, and he explains as follows. He explains the verse based on this idea. In other words, the source of the soul is where? On the level of Kodesh, holy. Now this Kodesh could be attached to something, a person's holy, or Kodesh means it is holy. So the soul on high, it's not like there's a soul and it's holy. No, the soul itself is holy. Not only that, not only is it holy on its own, but it's Kodesh LaHashem, that even in the level of Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is a very powerful level, even over there it's holy. So the soul is in the level of Kodesh, in Kodesh LaHashem. Now the soul comes down to this world. What's the purpose? To gain an upgrade in the soul. What's the upgrade? The upgrade is that it should become not only Kodesh LaHashem, but it should become a Reishis, the beginning of Tuasa. What's the idea of Tuasa? So like we said before, Tuasa is written, even though it's set Tuasoi, which is really a Cholam, but it's written with a Hey. Why specifically is it written with the letter Hey? Because Hey resembles the idea of creating this world. Because we know that the Hey, there's 5 different ways that the mouth expresses itself, and from there, you have the source of the 10 utterances that God used to create the world. So Hey is connected to the 5 different expressions of the mouth, which is connected to 10 utterances, which ultimately created the world. That's one idea of Hey. Also, Hey is connected to the letter Hey. And like it says in the Akdamot that we say, we don't say it, but it's printed in the Siddur on Shavuot. Some people do have a custom to say it. So it says in reference to the Hey, Asa Klila, the less from Mashasha. It's a very, very powerful letter, but you can't even, it's not tangible. It doesn't really have, any substance to it. But nevertheless, from this powerful letter of Hey, this physical world was created. Like it says, Hey, Nivra Olam Haza. The Hey was used to create this world. And that's why it says, Tu Asa, with the Hey at the end, which is referring to what? Hashem creating the world. And that's why the soul comes down into this world to reveal that even when the soul comes down into this world, it's still rachis, it's still the beginning of Tuasa, which means it's higher. It doesn't get affected by the world, it's actually higher than the world. That's point number one. Not only that even though the intent of creating all the worlds wasn't for Atzilut, wasn't for Bria, wasn't for Yitzirah, the ultimate reason why Hashem created all the world was to create this world of Asiyah. But nevertheless, even in this world where God is concealed, we are considered rachis, the beginning of Tuasa means beginning of even of the way this world's God is concealed. And why? Because we obviously stay above it. We don't get absorbed in the world. We don't get consumed by the world. We don't get swiped away by the world. We stay above it and we remain rachis to Hashem. Therefore, he'd like to add that we're called rachis Tuasa, it's like Chazal tell us that the whole intent of creating the world, which is basically the Tuasa with the Hey, is so that the Jewish people can be called rachis. So again, so far we have an explanation to the verse of Kodesh Yisrael Hashem rachis Tuasa. So Kodesh Yisrael is referring to the way that the Hashem is on high. Rachis Tuasa means that even if it comes down to us with the Hey, created this world, it still remains rachis the beginning. Now he goes on to explain the next part of the verse. What does it say? Kol eichlav yeshamu. The who those that eat it will be liable. What does that mean? Because when the soul comes down into the world, guess what? Now it has freedom of choice. Like it says clearly, Hashem says in the Torah, I give you life and good, the opposite of that, and then you can pick. You have a choice to pick. You can pick to be connected to Hashem, to love Hashem, be in awe of Hashem, or you can pick to get involved, unfortunately, in the materialistic world up to a negative place. Now, even though Hashem helps us, because we know we could not be successful in a mission without Hashem giving us energy and power to be successful, but the fact is, it's still 100% free choice. Yes, it's definitely the edge is on doing good, and the edge is on living and being connected to Hashem, but the fact is we have freedom of choice. At any moment we can walk. In other words, as we know, it's like it says clearly, there's this constant war between the godly soul and the animal soul. And since we're down in this world and we have choice, so what can happen is kol eichlav. We can be eaten up. In other words, the Jewish people can be eaten up because we're down into this world. Kol eichlav, this possibility we can be consumed. And not only that, it doesn't say eichel, one eating, but it says eichelav, plural. And so eichelav is double, and then there's kol eichelav, like a multiple. It means there's many, many, many forces that want to consume us, want to consume our Jewishness, want to take away our Jewishness from us, want to distract us. So that's kol eichelav. So you know what the enemy is. The enemy wants to eat us up. So what's the advice? So the verse says, kol eichelav yeshamu. What does it mean by yeshamu? So the Rebbe explains powerfully and says like this, because we know the law is that if somebody goes ahead and eats something that belongs to the priest, which is holy, so and which applies over here as well, because this comes in continuation, the fact that we're kodesh, we're holy. So we're on the level of a priest. Kodesh Jol Hashem. We learned before we're holy, and we're holy on the level of Yud Kei Vav Kei. So what happens if somebody? So what happens if someone in the example would be someone in the temple takes something that belongs to the priest. So it says in the Torah that if someone sins and he took something which is holy, kodesh, you have to pay, and you have to add a fifth. And the fifth is basically one of four of the principle. So with that, you have a total of 5 parts. So in other words, what are we seeing from this example? That when someone goes ahead and takes something that's kodesh, you have to add a fifth. So what does that mean practically? And he explains like this. We know there are 4 worlds. Atzilut, Bria, Yitzirah, and Asiyah. But then there's a 5th level, What is the fifth level? That's referring to the infinite worlds, which is above Atzilus. So generally you have the four worlds, yes? Atzilus, Bria, Tzir, Asiya, and then above Atzilus you have the infinite worlds. So the same thing applies in our soul, because we have four levels of the soul, which is Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and then you have the fifth level, which is called Yechida. And that's why he says, Kol Eichlav. All those that want to consume us, Yashamu, that means they're basically taking something which is holy, and they're trying to consume the Jewish part of it. So when you're being consumed, what do you need to do? You have to reach to Yashamu. You have to reach to the Asham. You have to reach to the fifth level, which means the infinite part, which is above Atzilus. And practically in ourselves, we have to reach Yechida. So when we're being attacked, we can be attacked in level of Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, but then you jump to Yechida, there's your safe zone. Now, but the fact is, the fifth, it's one part of the total five. As like it says clearly, but that and the four makes it totally five. What does that mean practically? That the goal is not just to go to a place of the Yechida, not just to go to a place of Atzma and Sorry, but you actually have to elevate all the four parts. You have to elevate all the four worlds, and you have to elevate all the four levels of the soul, that they should be consumed in the fifth level. And like it says clearly in the Torah, that the four hands is going to be for you, and the fifth one for Paroi. So the idea is to elevate the four parts, that they can also be on the fifth level of Paroi. And like he finishes off in the Chassidic discourse, and he says, in reference to this perfect example, we all know when it comes to Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year. So on that day is the only day of the year that we have 5 prayers. Because we have the Ma'ariv the night before, you have Shacharis, you have Musaf, you have Mincha, then you have Ne'ilah, the highest player. Now, even though you have the first 4, you have in every Shabbat and every Yom Tov. What's the revolutionary idea in Yom Kippur? The revolutionary idea is Tfilat Ne'ilah, the last prayer. But nevertheless, even though you can say, it's the last prayer, especially in Kippur, the last prayer, but the answer is no. Once you have Ne'ilah on that day, all the other 4 prayers are on the level of Ne'ilah, and they get elevated by it. And they all get elevated to the level of Ne'ilah. And how much more so when you're literally standing in the 5th level, which that's corresponded to the level of Yechid of our soul, that all the prayers from the whole day get consumed on it. So notice the Rebbe basically explained just now the idea of Kol Eichlav, Yesham. What does Kol Eichlav mean? Those that want to consume us, those that want to take away our focus from Hashem. So Yesham will reach out to the deepest level of our soul, our Yechida, and we connect to the Atzma inside, but not only there, but the goal is to bring everything to that high level. And that's why the verse says, Kodesh Yisrael Hashem. Like we already learned, Kodesh, referring to the Jewish people, are very, very holy. Hashem on the highest level. And Reishis to us means that we're holy in this world. And Kol Eichel Yashamu means that even when they want to take us away, so to speak, we go into the level, the highest level. Which means, the Rebbe explains as follows. Even though the soul is on the level of Kodesh, but nevertheless it came down to this world. Why? To reveal that even when it comes down here, it can be the beginning of everything. Why? Because we have the power of Yerida, Tzoyrech, Aliyah. You come down to this world for the purpose of elevation. So the same thing applies of all those that want to consume us. That even though we're in a level of being consumed, trying to consume the Jewish part of us, but it's also for the purpose of elevation. What's the purpose of elevation? That we should reach the Hashamu, we should reach the level, the 5th level that we normally would not go to if you weren't challenged. And that's why this verse, we say in the Haftorah, which is the beginning of the 3 weeks. Because the intent of the 3 weeks is, like the Rambam writes clearly, in the lens of the laws of fasting, and he says like this, that these 3 weeks are going to be transformed. They're going to be transformed to days of Sasain and Simcha, joy and celebration, and the truth and peace is going to be basically loving Hashem. And that's why we say the verse, Kodesh Yisrael Hashem, Reishis Tfuasa, Kol Yeshamu, which the whole idea is that Yerida, the downgrade, is the purpose for the upgrade. The purpose is that we can be the beginning in this world, and also if we're challenged, we can reach the level of Yechida. And the idea of saying this verse in the beginning of the 3 weeks, the Parashah is only in the beginning of 3 weeks, is because it's a concept that Hashem basically does not bring a disease without bringing the healing first. God brings the refuah, the healing, before He brings the plague. In other words, the healing of Hashem is not that someone's sick and you get healed. When Hashem brings healing, there was no sickness to begin with. In other words, it's not going to be there to begin with. And not only that, that these days, these 3 weeks are going to be transformed. Not only it's not going to be there, it's going to be transformed to days of joy and celebration and happiness. Because when you take it away from you uproot all the problems, there is no benefit and there's no purpose in the downgrade. So therefore, besides the fact, by taking away the thing from the beginning, we also not only take it away, we actually transform it into the good. Like it says, the ultimate goal is Yehafchu l'sasayin l'simcha. It's going to be transformed to joy and celebration, and that is the ultimate reason why we have the downgrade, to transform everything into an experience of sasayin and simcha, true joy and true happiness. And Rabbi finishes off very powerful, and he says like this, and practically as well. It should be the will that when we do our spiritual work of Avas Yisrael, loving everybody, the Achdus Yisrael, and unifying all the Jewish people, and that's going to go ahead and create the annulment of the cause of the destruction of the temple. Because we all know the reason why the temple was destroyed, because we sinned, unfortunately, we were taken out of the land of Israel. And specifically, what we were lacking was loving everyone. And when we do our work of loving everyone and being unified with everybody, and that will take away the cause for the destruction. So when you take away the cause, what happens is the exile's over automatically. And not only that, the downgrade is for the upgrade, which means that we're going to have that these days are going to be transformed, the days of sasayin, the simcha, joy and happiness and celebration and truth and peace and love. You know, what's the idea of what's real peace? What does it mean, peace? What's going to be revealed is the oneness of Hashem in the world. And like it says clearly in the prophets, v'nigla kvoid Hashem, the glory of Hashem is going to be revealed. V'ro kol basa yaktiv, everyone's going to see together. Ki pi Hashem dibur, that the one Hashem is the one speaking, He's the one running the world. And we're going to go together with the older people and the younger people, with our children, our sons and our daughters, and one big community. We're going to return to Eretz Yisrael, to the holy land of Israel. And afterwards, when we come to Israel, we're not going to just be in Israel, we're going to go to Jerusalem. And Jerusalem itself, we're going to go to the holy mountain. And I use the idea of holy, in essence, it's holy. By building the third Beis HaMikdash, the third temple, and it's going to happen in our generation, like Rabbi finished off so beautifully and powerfully, B'mheira B'yameinu Mamish, it should happen very, very quickly in our days in a literal sense. Here we have another beautiful, powerful Chassidic discourse in the Rebbe, and it's about our whole avodah in this Golus is to transform the world and to elevate the world and create from a negative into not only a positive, but a super positive. We have tremendous simcha, and God willing, the Rebbe says, we'll finish off with the simcha in Yerushalayim HaKodesh. We'll all be together with a Mashiach Tzidkenu in Eretz Yisrael, with the building of the third temple. Let's hope and pray that our next class will be in Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. Have a great and blessed week. Shavua Tov.